Good morning, viewers. Thank you very much. Welcome to Punchline Africa Television, broadcasting from the Political Command Center in Nairobi and the Political Command Center in the coast, in connection with our people at the coast. Today, as you know, President Uhuru Kenyatta will be in the coast of Kenya, at the coast of Kenya in Mombasa, to officially launch the universal health care programs across the Kenya, and various delegates. As I told you over the weekend, I happen to have been there to do what we call in journalism sniffing. I wanted to see how people react on certain issues regarding the health care infrastructure of President Uhuru Kenyatta. I believe Miriam has already done that this morning in her report. But I will make it clear that the people of the coast are really happy about the whole nature of infrastructure, the new seeds of development, the new seeds of approach, the new seeds of inauguration of things that will continue. Therefore, Kenya needs someone to continue with the peace, stability that we have. Talking about the peace and security, stability in Africa, this show is Diplomatic Leaks. In Diplomatic Leaks, we discuss, we see, we go behind the enemy line and find out exactly what they think about Africa. How far are we to silencing the guns in 2020? It's now 2022. Shall we have conflicts by 2063? How far, how many countries in Africa are really committed to putting peace, security in their programs and the manifestos for their countries to develop? Those are the questions that I want my panel this morning to begin answering. But first of all, let me give you what I feel. The African Union still has a long way to go in achieving a peaceful, secure Africa. But the strides made by President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, first as Kenya as a member of the United Nations Security Council rotational basis, and then as the chair of Pan-African Security Council, PSC in AU, are tremendous. President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is a silent diplomat, very quiet diplomat. The man who has brought Kenya to the international stage is a man who has acquired Kenya a new name across envy. If you look at all departments of international operations, Kenya is looked as a beacon of hope, a partner in reality. A partner in reality that at one stage, you can rely on Kenya if you want to execute, bring, achieve, and foster peace in this Great Lakes region. The Great Lakes region is a state or an area which covers all the way from Sudan, Somalia, Eritrea, Tanzania, Malawi, Congo, and the neighboring countries, South Sudan, that's Central African Republic. Those are Great Lakes region. Why was it named Great Lakes region? Because of Lake Victoria and other lakes that you find in the Rift Valley, the greatest of them being one of the biggest lakes, an inland lake that has nowhere where it came from, water standing for millions and millions of years, Lake Victoria, which connects and gives livelihood to several people in East Africa, hence named Great Lakes region. If you go elsewhere, you'll find in Tanganyika, Lake Malawi, Lake Kivu. All these all Lake Nakuru, all those lakes, Lake Rudolph, which is now called Lake Turkana. It was called Lake Rudolph. Then you go across, you see great lakes, great rivers, River Nile, the White Nile, the Blue Nile, all this. Then you go east, you find the Great Congo, an area of great lakes, an area of internal, both down in the soil, in the ground, and up on the surface. This is the Great Lakes region where peace seems to be very fragile in some countries and permanent in other places. This has come as a result of Kenya mastering the act of telling people the truth about peace in Africa. I want to take this opportunity to thank His Excellency again, President Uhuru Kenyatta, for silent diplomacy that he has played in most of these parts, wanting not to go on war, wanting never to go to war, trying to bring Somalia to where it is, telling them what can be done to achieve peace, putting back differences, putting aside the differences. I was yesterday, Miriam, on my return to Nairobi. I don't want to mention names, but I met somebody who felt that I have been a pain. And I felt like, oh my God, can I make peace? But that is a show for the other time. When you look at peace, but I'm maintaining this, why we need peace in Africa. We need peace because without peace, you cannot develop. We need security because without security, you cannot move about and do your work. President Uhuru Kenyatta emphasized that yesterday. Let's have a look at this clip.
Despite various and decisions, the situation in Western Sahara remains tense and volatile, especially following the military tensions between the Kingdom of Morocco and Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic. The Council noted with deep concern the resumption of military confrontation between the two parties and stressed the urgent need to reinvigorate efforts to facilitate a definitive resolution of the conflict in conformity with the relevant provisions of the AU Constitutive Act. In this regard, the Assembly may wish to request the Peace and Security Council to discharge its mandate on the conflict in Western Sahara in accordance with the relevant provisions of its protocol and the relevant Assembly decision by reviewing the situation in the Western Sahara as necessary at heads of state and government level. This should also include receiving briefings from the AU Troika, engaging the two parties, both of whom are member states of the African Union, to address the unfolding situation in order to prepare conditions for a new ceasefire and to reach a just and durable solution to the conflict. This will pave the way for the self-determination of the people of Western Sahara in line with the relevant AU-UN decisions and resolutions and the objectives and principles of the Constitutive Act of the African Union. As you note, Excellencies, 2021 was marked by a spread of terrorism and violent extremism and the resurgence of unconstitutional change of governments across the continent. This is a worrying trend that needs to be arrested and dealt with decisively. A number of challenges continue to undermine efforts by member states to re-establish state authority in conflict-affected areas, and furthermore, the adverse effects of climate change continues to impede the continent's socio-economic development efforts, thereby exasperating threats to human security, peace and stability. All these challenges are calling for a redoubling and enhanced coordinated efforts in order to address the resurgence of unconstitutional changes in government. Mr. Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, the African peace and security architecture, in perfect coherence with the African governance architecture, does remain our best tool for promoting peace and security in an integrated approach, combining conflict prevention, management and resolution, as well as post-conflict stabilization and reconstruction. Significant ground has already been covered to enhance African ownership of its peace and security agenda, and indeed I am pleased to note that the Peace Fund has, for the first time since its establishment in 1993, reached unprecedented levels of funding. The Peace and Security Council has taken major steps, endorsing areas of priority for the utilization of bank interest generated from the fund, and we must keep building on this success. Mr. Chairman, Excellencies, I conclude by commending Burundi for the positive progress made since 2021, and consequently, the Council in April of 2021 decided to remove Burundi from its agenda and to close the AU Human Rights Observers and Military Experts mission in Burundi. In this regard, I call upon other member states to emulate this example as we intensify our collective efforts to end wars and build prosperity in our continent.
And implement measures that maximize our food security and self-sufficiency.
Thank you very much, viewers across the continent of Africa and the globe. You can see for yourselves, you can hear for yourselves, you can note down the notes yourselves that there is progress. But President Uhuru Kenyatta also mentioned there are bottlenecks, that challenges, obstacles that need for us to be able to find peace on the African continent. To me, one of the things that has come out from my own opinion, why Africa still continues to fight wars of other people and proxy wars, is the question of Palestine and Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to address this issue without fear of contradiction. We created the African Union, Organization of African Unity. One of the things, the themes of Organization of African Unity is unity of purpose, unity of development, unity of economy, economic unity, political unity. We did not create this organization as a fighting base for external forces that have engaged us, that have brought their problems, imported them on the African Union in Addis Ababa. My disagreement with the heads of state, therefore, remains, and I remain as a scholar on this continent. I will state my facts without fear. I don't agree with anybody importing a proxy war on this continent of Africa, and I hope Fred is taking this. I don't agree at all that you bring your proxy wars and fight them on the continent of Africa, on an organization where we have nothing, but we are searching for peace equally. African Union is searching for peace. From President Uhuru Kenyatta's perspective, we have the people of Sahrawi still under the bondage of Morocco. Morocco has refused to give them independence. Morocco has occupied their territory. Morocco has killed many of them, slaughters them, continue to slaughter them. We have Amazonia, a very big problem rising in equatorial Africa. Amazonia and Cameroon, where football was played yesterday, and Africans were happy celebrating Total Oil. We have a problem, a conflict that we have not resolved ourselves. We have another conflict in Biafra, between Biafra and the central government and the banditry, the Boko Haram, the dismembering of the Sahara region states. We have not resolved them. We have a problem in the Central African Republic, where war has raged since Bokassa died. For those who don't know, Emperor Bokassa died, where Songa and others can find out the dates, almost 40 years ago. But Emperor Bokassa left a ghost that has haunted Central African Republic without stop. We have been fighting guns in Central Africa. We have partitioned, portioned, sliced, taken gold, diamonds to Paris since Bokassa died. We have a perennial problem in DRC Congo. And this perennial problem in DRC Congo poses a great threat to African security. Uganda is being attacked every minute. Rebels, 146 rebel activity, ranging from north to south up to Bujumbura, area border with Burundi and Zambia. We have rebels operating in all formats, ISIS, M23, UPC, whatever you name them, of Thomas Lubanga. We have rebels scattered around the region of Central African Great Lakes region. Across east of Kenya, we have Somalia, terrorists of ISIS, Al-Shabaab, Al-Qaeda, mixed together. A cocktail of disaster lies across east of Kenya. Most of us know very well what is going on there. We have been pumping in money. We have been pumping in resources. We have lost human capital, human material, and others. We have not won the war. In Ethiopia itself, before I go to Ethiopia, another war ranges, which could spark any time now. And we have to be very honest. If we were to acquire peace and stability and security of this region, these are the points that academics and professors of international relations and political science and the conflict resolution management should be talking about. We should not be talking about stupidity. We should be talking reality. We should be telling the African heads of state that you have let us down on some of these things. You have not achieved them. Sorry, it is bad news for us. In South Sudan, for example, Riek Machar, Salva Kiir, the commanders of SPLA-O and others, National Salvation Front, which is now another pain in the peace process of South Sudan, lingers on. Anytime it is a whistle waiting to be blown, and then that whistle will be blown, the civilians will suffer. There are civilians in South Sudan who have suffered. There are people in South Sudan who have never seen their mothers, their fathers, their children, their sisters, their brothers. We have a war across in Sudan, Khartoum, a war ranging every minute. Someone wants to ignite Darfur region, which I, Mbeki and others, we worked so tirelessly to silence the guns. There are some people who walk around Africa and they call themselves, they have tried to silence a war. Which war have they silenced? Show me one. What did some of these people? Which war has Obasanjo, for example, stopped in Africa? Which war has General Obasanjo stopped? Show me one war that General Obasanjo stopped. But show me, ask Matanga, which war he has stopped. Ask Thabo Mbeki, ask Chisano, ask Riek Machar and others, ask Rugunda. We have stopped a big war that ate Uganda's GDP for over 30 years. It is not there in Uganda anymore. And I'm proud. I want to thank President Museveni, the UN, Rugunda, Chisano, Salva Kiir, Riek Machar, for helping us, and myself, of course, for sitting down, and the African Union, European Union, and the British government that allowed us, instructed some of us to join the war, to join the fight against the war, and come back, call on the rebels to lay down their arms. Today, Uganda and northern Uganda is peaceful, not because there were people who won a war. It's because diplomacy won the war. peace, negotiation, dialogue, resolution of conflict, forgiveness, a redemption strategy struck Uganda. We can have a problem of political deficit. It's not for me to sort it. I was not born to sort political deficit. But maybe I was born to sort problems of that nature, of the Lord Resistance Army versus the government of Republic of Uganda. I solved it. It will never come back. Never will it arise again. It is up to the President of Republic of Uganda himself to sustain the peace, and the people of Northern Uganda to sustain that peace. I'm speaking about this, Miriam, and the panel, for you people to understand that without these sacrifices, without people standing up, because some of us, when we talk about peace, some people in Kenya who were born in 1990 will insult you on Facebook because they don't know what it is. They don't know what Masanga has gone through to achieve peace. They don't know what Mbeki has done. So we have a wars. These wars create instability. Instability creates economic meltdown. Economic meltdown creates revolutions. Revolutions hurt people. You have seen in West Africa, one of the cardinal statements that the generals or the soldiers who are coming from the barracks to come and seize power, one of them is corruption. Another one, as I told you, there is another military coup in Othing, which will be anytime within the next coming 4 weeks to 5 weeks. It is coming. I can see it because people are desperate. You cannot have Boko Haram killing people from morning up to evening, cutting people's hands, and you are president of the republic of a country. You can't. You have to face it. Give the soldiers the arms to go and fight insurgents. In Nigeria, we have left Nigeria and Nigerians with the plight of God. God helps them. The government doesn't help them. If there is anybody in Nigeria being helped by government, put up your hand. Maybe the diplomats who are in Nairobi enjoy having diplomatic passports. But Nigeria is collapsed state, sinking in in Atlantic Ocean. When you look at those and come back to Congo, that is why President Kenyatta said, we need to work hand in hand. We need to work collectively to remove the impediment. The impediment of our African struggle is the insecurity that we have amongst us. Africans cannot be used as a proxy. You cannot bring Israel and Palestine to our hall. You didn't build our hall. Did you build the hall? Did you help us to build the hall? Did you send us money to build the hall? What benefit do we get from Palestinians and Israelis that they can come and fight on our floor? And somebody in this organization walks free with everything and says, Miriam, we are very, let's go tonight. Palestinians and Israelis should be in non-aligned movement. They should not bring us this chaos. They should not divide us at the moment. We have yes, we agree. Some of us stand for the plight of the people, both sides. The Palestinians pick up arms and go and kill. The Israelis also defend themselves. They have a right to defend themselves. Why do you kill them? Why do you pick up arms? If you pick up arms, Israel will react. Those problems can be solved in the UN, not in African Union, where we have more problems than Israel. Miriam, if you think my reasoning is wrong, then I give back one of my certificates in conflict resolution, because I don't see why African Union should be given a punching bag by a Palestinian fanatic who comes to address us as if we are his children. I was watching that, I switched off. I was one of the members listening to the speeches because I was accredited. You cannot stop me. I switched off. You are coming to lecture to ask us to support you. Then you are talking to us like we are militants. We are not all of us militants. We are not militants. So the issue of Palestinians, yes, we have supported a liberation organization, just as Africa came out of liberation, supported by very many other organizations in the world, China, Russia. They supported us to liberate ourselves, and some of the countries like Zimbabwe, South Africa, Mozambique, Angola, those countries that were subjected under the colonial rule of Portuguese that did not want to leave. Cape Verde, Amira Cabral, Guinea-Bissau, we liberated those countries. Fine, most of the Africans did liberate those countries. But now for us to be party in the middle, being torn to pieces, when we don't have unity of ourselves, Miriam, I find it that peace, the woes, that is one of the woes of African Union. The second woo, as I wind up, so that I give you chance people to speak, is why is it that African Union, Mr. President, all of you who are attending, both on President Uhuru Kenyatta was attending live. I was also attending, I was on the webinar, and I took part in some of the sessions. I want to ask you one question. An armed group comes and kills the president in Africa. People don't know why Matanga does not like African Union, chairperson. An armed group trained in Egypt and southern Libya comes and kills a president of Africa elected by the people in the name of Idris of Chad. And the African Union did not condemn, and I want Fred to catch this. My disagreement with African Union chairperson remains this, and I will never budge, whether it is Uhuru, whether it is Museveni, whether it is Emerson, whether it is who. These are my people, friends, who usually get worried about me. I have that principle. I'm sorry. You cannot have a group of people planning, plotting somewhere, sitting somewhere, coming to kill a president of Africa, assassinate him. And the African Union does not condemn the assassination, does not expel anybody who was in that group, and does not highlight, tell the International Criminal Court to arrest such people. And the group goes out in Egypt to celebrate and say, we killed Idris. I am not happy. And if you are not happy with me, so go and hang on the transformer yourself. I'm not bothered. But as an African, I speak my mind. And a person who has studied political science and international relations and the conflict resolution studies, I find this very disgusting. Disgusting. You come and kill a president of Africa and the African Union, where Mr. Mohamed Faki comes from, they did not issue a statement to condemn the killing of Mr. Idris. And we come in AU and we haven't condemned it because this man was killed during COVID. Nobody has condemned it. All of us walked out of African Union without condemnation. Is it the African Union we want? Is it the African Union we want? Isn't this double standard? Then you get the boys across in Mali, northwest, of Chad taking power, you condemn them and ban them from anything. You put sanctions, embargo on them. Are you not stupid? Is African Union worth it? You come to Guinea-Bissau, you come to Burkina Faso, you condemn them. You come to Sudan, Khartoum, condemn my friend General Dugro and his bros. This guy, he did not condemn the killing of his own president. I'm waiting for him to finish his tenure of office. And the man who was killing the president is General Khalifa Haftar, whom you see on the photographs there. And I think the technical team, pick it nicely. Those two, we shall struggle with Muhammad Faki up to the court somewhere. Why was there no condemnation? Why? Across in Nigeria, the killings of Biafrans continues. It continues with, we are continuing killing Biafrans, slaughtering them, putting them in untold suffering. What is happening in Nigeria today is worse than what is happening in Somalia. Because at least in Somalia, you know who is coming for you. But in Nigeria, every bandit will come for you. Everybody, kidnap, taking girls, hostages. What have we done? We have left a country with a population of 2 million people, 220 million people, going down to Atlantic Ocean. Why do we refer our problems? Why do we ask for someone to come to solve his problem in our house, in Addis Ababa, when we have more of our problem ourselves? Miriam, that is my question. And how do you kill a person, a head of state, killed in cold blood? The rebels come and announce we trained in Egypt. Egypt was then the chairperson of African Union. General Assisi was among the people I saw online. Why was he not banned from coming to the AU? How many people are going to wake up and go to some country and stage and come to kill their president? Is this the African Union we want? I submit, therefore, the diplomatic leaks of attaining we must see the rules. African Union rules on security, peace in Africa. You can't give Sahrawi independence. And you are Morocco, you have been allowed back to police and buy people because you have money. And buy countries to do what you want. But you have not given the Sahrawi independence. What is this African Union? I submit.
Very well, Doc. Thank you so much. And that is quite a powerful submission and a lot of very important questions you've been able to raise there. Daniel Wesonga, as Doctor has rightfully pointed out, you already have enough problems in the African Union. And so allowing, and yesterday I was watching that news on the disagreement between the Palestinian and Israel playing out in the floors of the African Union. And I wondered, what does that have to do with us? And why are we inviting more problems and more other proxy wars in the African Union when the African Union itself cannot even handle its own issues?
I believe that whoever is at the helm of leadership of the African Union are actually auctioneers, and they actually auction the continent to the highest bidder. And that is why even in Dr. Matsanga's submission, you heard him vehemently say that Musa Muhammad Faki was not even able to condemn the coup and the killing, subsequent killing of President Idris Deby, who is he's actually his president, simply because this coup was initiated, financed, and influenced by the French government. And therefore, he has allowed a foreign entry of French interference into Western Africa, and more so the French-speaking countries, in that France has the leeway to decide who becomes the president and who doesn't. And there's a good thing that is happening in West Africa, Miriam, that are people of those Francophone African countries actually coming out vehemently to reject the French hegemony in West Africa. They're actually rejecting leaders who are put there as stooges and puppets of the French government out of power. And that is something good that we should also actually do with the AU. When they give Israel the observer mission, you know, that goes against the laws of the African Union, or maybe the constitution, which is an anti-colonialist. You know, Israel does not deserve to be an observer in the African Union. Morocco does not deserve to be the African Union. Remember, they went against that, whereas Morocco is still holding Sahrawi hostage. And this is something that has been very, very controversial in African Union, but you will never find the leadership of the African Union talking about it. So to me, Miriam, we are dealing with puppets, we are dealing with auctioneers, we are dealing with people whose bills are paid by Emmanuel Macron in France. Therefore, they cannot be able to sufficiently speak for the people of Africa. And that is why Africa is still bedeviled by coup d'etats. That is why Africa is still embroiled in civil wars and banditry attacks all over in West Africa. That is why even Somalia, the peace in Somalia has been quite elusive, because the AU is a toothless dog. The AU is in the payroll of the French and other Western hegemonies that actually fund and support these leaders who are elected into the African Union's office. So to me, I believe, Miriam, they are there for business. They are not there to serve the African people. We should get a Pan-Africanist, someone who does not have maybe ulterior motives, or maybe who does not want to benefit individually from the monies that come from the West, to be able to lead the African Union. But looking at Musa Muhammad Faki, someone who does not talk about when France is actually stealing resources from Congo, when France is actually shortchanging the leadership of various Francophone African countries, then that is not the person that we need to have as the leader of AU. There's nothing we're gonna get from AU. There's nothing we can expect from Musa Muhammad Faki and his team at the helm of the AU, even as they conclude their summit in Addis Ababa. Miriam, I do not have any kind of optimism or any kind of words for those people who are sitting in the leadership of African Union, because these are people who have been setting goals, and whenever timelines actually hit their goals, they actually shift again and set another later. They procrastinate and set an advanced time again to achieve the same goals, and they have been shifting the goals since the formation of AU up to date. They talked about eradicating diseases and pandemics from Africa so long ago. That has not been yet done. When the COVID pandemic hit us, you saw the kind of confusion that was there in Africa. They have been talking about silencing guns by the year 2020 and ending the conflicts in Africa by the year 2050. Nothing is happening in that regard. And these are people who are in office, people who are taking salaries, people who are taking contingencies, people who are being paid by the member states of the African Union, yet they are doing nothing, Miriam, to help the African people solve their conflicts, help the African people solve their elections, help the African people even trade fairly with their European and Asian counterparts. The AU has failed the people of Africa big time, Miriam, and I believe whatever is happening there is just dealership, and the leadership of the African Union under Musa Muhammad Faki is there to do business. And that is why Israel, with its money, has been able to be granted the observer status in the African Union. Otherwise, Miriam, you wouldn't allow anyone to come into your matrimonial home, and instead of even giving him or her a room to sleep in, you tell them, come into my bedroom, you're gonna be an observer. To observe what, Miriam? I think that is the height of commanship and lack of integrity for the AU side. I don't believe that we reach at a point where the AU will allow strangers, and especially a country like Israel, which is very, very well known with the Mossad, with doing the intelligence stuff and networks, to come into the AU as an observer member state. I don't think that is right. And it's because the AU has been shortchanged the people of Africa through the monies that they have been soliciting from these countries. That is why they have allowed such impunity to happen, Miriam. I submit.
Miriam, before Douglas comes in shortly, there is one point that I want to make. Thank you very much, Wesonga, to bring this to my brain a bit. Look at the situation. The Palestinian man who was talking, he was talking to us like children. We are the owners of African Union. You don't just come and direct us to hate Israel. So, look, Israel was not there to defend itself, is it, Miriam? I didn't see the Israel ambassador addressing the conference. He wasn't allowed. The UN kept Palestinian people for almost 40 years. Do you hear me? As observer, no vote. You come and eat food like a dog waiting for bones from the owner of the house. Why are we so quick? So my point here is, I don't hate Israel, neither do I hate Palestinians. I am non-aligned. Therefore, I want to resurrect non-aligned movement, beginning from Matanga to leave a legacy. Since the Cuban Fidel Castro, my mentor, is gone, Kim Il-sung is gone, Indira Gandhi is gone, Marshal Tito is gone, Gabriel Nasser is gone, Nyerere is gone, Golda Meir is gone, Yasser Arafat is gone, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman is gone. My sister of Pakistan, Benazir Bhutto, and the father, they are gone. Rajiv Gandhi is gone. Let me resurrect the African non-aligned movement. And my advice, Your Excellency President Uhuru Kenyatta, give us support for the non-aligned. We wouldn't like to have Turkey coming to tell us what we should do in our continent when Turkey used to carry us and dump us in Indian Ocean and blow the ships. We have not forgotten what the Turks did to us. We have not forgotten that Yemen has blacks like us. Have you asked why Yemen has black Arabs like us? We were taken in huge numbers across by the Turks, who dumped us in Indian Ocean and partly in the Mediterranean and the Gulf, below the ships, because they didn't want to see us. Today, they want to see us because they have got the economic might of the resources they stole from Africa. The textile industry that flourishes in Turkey comes from Africa, cotton. Why are we still there? Let's create a non-aligned movement. I've just mentioned leaders by head. You can see I know very many. We don't have the Ortegas anymore. Ortegas are here. We don't have powerful leaders of the Caribbean. The Patrice Lumumbas, the Kwame Nkrumahs are gone. Sekou Touré are gone. Amina Kabura, the Mandelas are gone. We need non-aligned movement to avoid the scandal that we saw in the 45th AU summit of heads of state. I submit. Douglas Kirimi. And back to Miriam Sol.
All right, Douglas Kirimi, even as you come in, of course, the issue of the double standards that is being exhibited at the African Union was raised even with some of the heads of states present in that summit, in the manner in which, and I think we've been talking about it here, and the doctor has reminded us, the manner in which, it handled the death and the unconstitutional replacement of President Deby with his son, Mahamat Deby, which was illegal in law, even in Chad. The Speaker of the National Assembly should have been the one to be a temporal president as the country waits to go to another election. But the son was installed, and France, matter of fact, President Macron attended the inauguration, and he did not have a problem. And the same thing he's doing seems to be the attitude and the same drumbeat that African Union is dancing to. They did not remove, Chad from the AU, and I think President of Nigeria also supported, Chad in that regard, because they're saying as it is right now, Chad is very fragile, so they can't afford another power vacuum because Chad to them is very important as far as fighting the insurgency in the Sahel region. But that aside, the issues to do with the unconstitutional changes that President Uhuru Kenyatta, spoke strongly about, some of the coups that we've been seeing happening in this continent. And now the African Union is very comfortable bringing us, other proxy wars in the country. And for African Union, there's no problem having an observer country come into the African Union. It is the manner in which they went about it. They did not even consult member states. The member states did not agree with this move by African Union. So that brought a lot of problems, especially emanating from the countries in the southern part of Africa. And of course, the rest of Africa, majority of them agree to that. So can you speak on these issues that seems to be plaguing African Union?
Thank you, Miriam. I have a huge problem with two issues that you have been able to raise, because number one, what we are having is an African Union that its authority, its powers, and also preeminence are sapped by foreign actors like the French people and other Western allies who continue hiding in the crock of helping the African Union, which do not necessarily benefit the people of Africa. For example, when these foreign actors get into the matters into the continent, in the issue of Chad, these are the same actors who continue masterminding issues behind the scenes, and they have no problem with unconstitutional changes that they continue exhibiting in Africa and dumping leaders on us, dumping stooges that they can be able to remote control from their Western capitals, Miriam. It is about time the African Union takes the powers that have been usurped by the foreign actors and act in its capacity for the public good and also welfare of the African people. Because, Miriam, we cannot continue having a puppet continental body that continues working for the interest and the benefit of the foreign allies or foreign actors who remote control the African Union with their top dollar that they keep pumping into the African Union, whereas we, the people of Africa, expect this to be a voice for us, the voice of the African people, that we can be able to talk about and also that can defend us for our prosperity, unity, and progress as a continent, Miriam. We need to retake back our power as the African Union so that we can be able to get Africa to where it is today. For example, the people of Chad continue being ruled by the French proxies, and they continue suffering because these people continue running the countries, running those countries like their own farms or their own businesses. And Miriam, we cannot be able to stomach that as the people of Africa. We need to ask the AU, the way it is constituted today, to be disbanded so that we can be able to have an AU that gives us our voice, gives us our aspirations, and speaks for and behalf of our dreams. Another perspective, Miriam. Today in Africa, we have proxy wars that continue being permitted by the Western actors, foreign actors, who continue taking advantage of the salient function of the AU, because AU today has no standby force. They continue delaying the ability to come up with a standby force to get into the conflict areas in Africa and restore order. We do not have an army or a force that can be sent immediately to African countries that have been dragged into war. For example, we do not see that in Somalia. We don't see that in Central Africa. We don't see that in Democratic Republic of Congo. We don't see that in Nigeria, where Boko Haram continues wreaking havoc and other small terrorist groups continue wreaking havoc to the people of Nigeria. We don't see that in Mali when there are coup d'etats, Miriam. We need to be able to have a conversation as the people of Africa and give the African Union the powers that it deserves so that we can be able to deal with the foreign actors and also deal with their proxies in Africa. Because, Miriam, in Africa, we do not have that power. It has been usurped from us. And the only way we can be able to own the African Union is to let African Union be funded by the member states as it is funded, and the larger percentage of its donations come from the Western actors. We need to also continue asking member states that have abandoned their funding of the African Union, because there are debts that dates back to 20 years, 30 years, their countries would not contribute a dime to the African Union, but they want the African Union to continue speaking for and behalf of their welfare as a country when these proxy wars come into their country. We need to be able to own up the African Union institution as we know it today, restructure it, and also retake it, Miriam, because these same people, the Chinese people came, built the African Union headquarters, the new African headquarters, and put up surveillance systems that were sending signals to Shanghai, China, and also interfering with our own freedom to be able to discuss our own issues, and also putting surveillance on the people of Africa that they cannot be able to air their grievances and also solve their issues in-house and also in an African way that we can be able to take them forward, Miriam, as a continent. The only way we can do that, Miriam, is to retake the African Union as we know it and also chase away the foreign actors that continue usurping the authority and the power of the African Union. Thank you.
Miriam, thank you very much, Douglas. We are together on this. And our role should not be misconstrued to mean we are against any head of state who has taken a stand. We are together on this journey. We are together as people who want Africa to improve. Let the studio play another clip. Miriam, let's look at the contradictions of what the world of peace and the world of not peace, and whether peace can be available, whether security can be available in Africa like it is available elsewhere in the US, in the UK, and other parts of the world that we call developed democracies. Is the peace the same as the one in Africa? If the studio is ready with that, can you bring the clip on?
This is the most expensive and complicated motorcade in the world. With around 50 vehicles and over 100 personnel, the United States presidential motorcade has a single objective: keep the president alive. At the heart of the motorcade is the car that carries the president himself, known as the Beast. But it's less of a limo and more of a comfy tank. The Beast costs around $1.5 million and weighs in at a whopping 20,000 pounds, which is about the same weight as a Tyrannosaurus Rex. The doors are 8-inch thick, the windows will stop a bullet from a Magnum, and the floor is built on a modified truck bed with armor floor plates to protect from bombs and grenades. It's even hermetically sealed to prevent biological attacks with its own oxygen supply. On board, you'll find rocket-powered grenades, night vision optics, a tear gas cannon, pump-action shotguns, and even 2 liters of the president's blood type. But as we all know, it's not just one car that keeps the president moving. In fact, the Beast containing the president isn't even the only beast involved. There are at least 2 identical armoured limos in every motorcade, both with matching registration plates. And these 2 limos make up just one part of the motorcade known as the Secure Package. Also in the Secure Package is the United States Secret Service Countermeasures Suburban. This car jams any remote explosives that might be en route using 2 antennas that send out a huge range of radio frequencies that block any bomb activation signal. It also has electronic warfare sensors that detects if an RPG or anti-tank missile is launched. After that comes 3 separate SUVs with one distinct difference. 2 of them have their rear window open and 1 doesn't. These 2 SUVs are called the halfback and the cat car. If the president's in danger, it's the job of the halfback to defend the beast and the job of the cat car to take the fight to the insurgents. The reason their rear window is open? Well, that's so the rear-facing passengers can open fire at a moment's notice. The car with the closed rear window is the control car. The control car carries the most essential staff, such as the president's military aide and doctor. In front of the secure package, you'll find the route car, pilot car, lead car, and a whole host of motorbikes known as sweepers. The route and pilot car scout the route ahead and relay information to the lead car, which leads the secure package to the motorcades behind them. The motorbikes are in charge of clearing the way for the motorcade by ushering cars out of the way and by blocking off roads and junctions. Behind the secure package is a fleet of support vehicles, including the ID car, which liaises with other counter-surveillance agencies, the Roadrunner, which acts as a mobile communications centre, and the Hazardous Materials Mitigation Unit, which contains equipment and personnel that can respond to chemical, nuclear and biological attacks. Now, all of this may seem like a lot, and that nothing could ever go wrong, but the Secret Service actually view it as the exact opposite. To them, the safest motorcade is no motorcade. Travelling by car is seen as one of the moments when the president is at their most vulnerable, so the motorcade will only be used for journeys of 30 minutes or less. For everything else, there's Marine One and Air Force One. It's estimated that one trip, which takes around an hour, costs over $150,000. So in short, it's an expensive business protecting the most powerful person in the world. But many would argue it's a small price to pay.
Thank you very much. As much as you can see in the United States, $150,000 per minute. With Songa and Douglas and Miriam, what type of security does Africa need to reach that level? Can we now be told this is what we want on African continent? Is it possible? So the woes of African Union are still very many. Whereas you have a country spending $150,000 per minute. If the journey is 20 hours, calculate how much money it wastes. How much is that? You can see. How much of that money can build Africa where they got the resources? How much of it can be? Then they come to lecture to us who should buy the diamonds and not to be sold the diamonds, whom the diamonds should be sold to. They have put sanctions on African countries not to operate, not to be able to generate resources. A country like Zimbabwe has been under immense trouble, generated, equipped, supported by the United States of America to put sanctions on them, on Zimbabwe. Yet Zimbabwe could have the same security apparatus. The amount of diamonds in Zimbabwe, my panel, would help to boost the economy of Uganda, will help to boost the economy of Kenya. But Zimbabwe has diamonds. They want to sell their diamonds. America says, don't sell the diamonds. There is no war in Zimbabwe. So what do we do? What else can we do? Can Africa have peace and security at the woes of Africa? Union more outweigh the security and the peace, or the peace and security ingredients. Do we have more obstacles on the continent than we would have no AU at all? Can each country take its own security first? Let's begin with our own security in the continent, in our countries. We still have people being killed by armed men calling themselves bandits, Boko Haram and others. We have not done it yet. Can we have African Union doing it for us? We don't have a voice internationally yet. Where is our voice in the AU? Where is our voice in the United Nations? African Union wants 2 to 4 seats. Why was United Nations made for a higher class? And we Africans, 1.2 billion, coming to 2 billion people almost. Very soon, we have no seat. Can somebody explain to me why we have no seat in the United Nations Security Council? Yet United Nations Security Council, Miriam, can vote for you to be indicted. Can vote for Miriam to be picked from her palatial home, taken to the ICC. Kuja tuende. Yet we have no say on the UN Security Council. The best we can do is to abstain. When things are hot, we run into areas and hide under neutral. Abstain. I've abstained. How do you abstain when there are killings taking place? Abstention is fear. I want to say yesterday, Miriam, as I told you before you left, that for the first time I'll open the TV and I see AFCOM. But I saw 2 teammates of my team, Liverpool, going to fight in the war, both of them on different angles. So I wrote first, I said I will be neutral and I watch both of them. Some people came down heavy on me, including Wesonga. They said, no, Dr. Matanga, you must take a decision. For the first time, I took a wrong decision yesterday. Because I just, to be honest, I like more Mohamed Salah. Especially because the other man, money, just runs around the field. So when he runs around the field, but when Songa forced me, then later on I took a stand to say, okay, Egypt. But Africa, we are bewitched. In fact, when you talk about football in Africa, is when you can bring a big crowd. Paul Obiya was seated in Yaoundé with the wife with a red dye on the hair, clapping throughout, and he flew from Switzerland to witness the closing ceremony, which he didn't close at all. He did not go to greet. You notice that Paul Obiya looks at Africans like they are just monkeys got from Gabon, the Cameroonian forest. Did you know that, Miriam? He did not go down to greet these footballers. Surely can a match be in Kenya and the President Uhuru Kenyatta fails in Kasarani? And fails to greet the last people who are going to play. Paul Obiya sat there. And the wife was the one clapping all the time. So, in a nutshell, Miriam, our continent is bewitched. There are more woes. AU has more difficulties, obstacles. And I thank President Kenyatta for bringing them out, especially the question of Sahawari. Therefore, as we come to this close, unless you have something else to say, I think I've closed it very nicely.
Doc, before you closed, yes, President Uhuru Kenyatta brought the issue of Zawari, and he spoke very strongly about it. So perhaps you can read his mind and see where perhaps what perhaps his stand is, or where Kenya's stand is in regards to that matter. And of course, the issue of Kenya pushing for Africa to have a permanent seat at the United Nations Security Council. This is a conversation that the continent should consider. This is a conversation that we should start having, and intensely, because we cannot have a whole continent of over 1 billion people sit at the United Nations Security Council to be rubber stamps, and everything we say can be overruled by one member, with a veto power. I think we cannot be cheerleaders anymore. We have a right, we've earned our place, and so our voice needs to be at the United Nations Security Council permanent seat, and I think it is about time. And of course, other continents as well. We need this to be reviewed. The manner in which the permanent seats are constituted, we need this to be looked at and to be reviewed so that we have a proper representation from across the globe. Because as we know, as it is right now, the UN Security Council, especially the permanent seat, a lot of times, a lot of manipulation, and a lot of control we see play out, and even other political proxy wars and all these disagreements playing out when it comes to the permanent membership. You see how Russia and China sometimes just gang up to rubbish everything else any other person is saying, or this other member. So we do need a voice at the United Nations Security Council permanent seat. We do need that. And it should not be like we are asking, we are requesting. This is something we should demand. This is something we deserve as a continent, and we should stop just being treated as cheerleaders, at the United Nations. And if not, Doc, as you have suggested, maybe we just need to stop going there. What will they do? We just need to mind our business here in the continent and not attend even those meetings until they hear us and understand why it is important to have us there as a member of, permanent, for us to be given a permanent membership at the United Security Council. It's about time.
Indeed, Miriam, it's about time, because time passed a long time ago. Time passed. Time passed a long time ago. You brought up, Morocco now. President Uhuru Kenyatta is correct. Morocco is sponsoring Ruto to create chaos in Kenya. That's a new colonial master who has arrived with money. Ruto's people, Duale and the rest, are in Morocco embassy. Morning, evening, lunch, what? The Moroccan ambassador here is fully equipping through the lawyers and through the bank, one of the banks in this country, equipping an opposition to have influence in Kenya to overturn the government of Republic of Kenya through the Morocco embassy in Kenya. That's why they are getting all this money. How many times do you meet Mudavadi and others in village market, in close corners, meeting Moroccan ambassador? Are they government? When Raila wants to meet Moroccan ambassador, he calls him at his office. But what these meetings at night? There you are. So President Uhuru Kenyatta is correct. The issue of Sahawari, we are not going to give up. You can threaten us, but I'm sorry, we shall not give up until Sahawari gets its independence. You can arm, you can equip, you can logistically supply money to Ruto, but Ruto will not win a vote in this country. Give him the money you want. Miriam, that's the topic. The topic that we want to look at tomorrow morning in our dispatches is, do foreign diplomats take part in our elections, and how? I think you must, in your African glance, what role do foreign diplomats play in our elections in Africa or in Kenya? Miriam, that's a very interesting topic. It will open up quite a lot of wounds. Apart from this, the money that they pay, which is official from government to boost the electoral budget, what else do they do behind closed doors? That is very important. My sister, I want to take this opportunity to thank you. This diplomatic leaks comes to an end this morning or this afternoon, I think. Yes, hey, we are already past this afternoon, rushing towards lunch. God bless you. God bless Africa. Thank you very much.